parasite Wadagash has escaped Jaco and now having to make his way towards Earth, the unsuspecting Gohan is left defending the citizens of the world from an unknown threat as Wadagash infects Barry Khan and the people of Earth in hoping of stopping the Great Saiyaman prior to Gohan studying for his new role in the Great Saiyaman movie. What's going on, Dragon Ball fans? Welcome to my Dragon Ball Super episode 74 breakdown review entitled For the Sake of Those He Loves, the Indomitable Great Saiyaman leading into Dragon Ball Super episode 75, and once again in what will be another filler episode. Now, I know certain people do have a huge issue with filler. I myself definitely feel as if the filler episodes so far have been dragging on and a bit boring, but of course we're nearing the Universal Survival arc, so that's going to be something to look forward to there, guys. Again, Gohan having a back-to-back episode, having him be the star of the show, is much better than having him be a background character. And a quick plug before we begin, in case you guys are not following me at Twitter, make sure to go on ahead and follow me at Twitter at UnrealENT Gaming. The link will be down in the description below for all the latest in Dragon Ball news, information, and updates. And of course, if you guys want to keep notified of what's going on, make sure to follow me at Twitter. And of course, if you guys are new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out, and don't forget to turn on notifications. That way you guys yourselves are notified of whenever a Dragon Ball discussion, review, or gameplay video is posted on this channel. Your feedback and of course your support really means a lot to me, so be sure to go on ahead and spread the word about the channel, guys. It really means a lot to me. So it looks like to me Dragon Ball Super has mimicked the ideas of Dragon Ball GT, having a parasitic organism infect and of course take over the mind and body of people on Earth. I believe is very reminiscent to Baby, of course, but Wadagash did it a little different. Now, we get to see in this particular episode how it was heavily focused on Barry Khan versus Great Saiyaman. Obviously enough, Barry Khan having to be the big actor, taking up the role as Saiyaman. We see how Wadagash begins to infect Barry Khan, and we see how Gohan and Khan had a falling out in this episode, in which I believe was good because it gave Gohan something to do. But overall, this episode to me felt like it dragged on, very similar to Dragon Ball Super episode 73, Dragon Ball Super episode 72, and so on and so forth. A lot of these arcs, I believe, are not utilizing and capitalizing and ultimately executing its characters to the fullest. I do believe the only time we've seen that so far in a recent filler episode was the baseball episode with Team Beerus versus Team Champa, where everyone was involved and everyone had something to do. But we have back-to-back episodes with Gohan having to be the main star here. So I think that Gohan versus Khan was obviously building up from the beginning. It was obviously building up since Dragon Ball Super episode 73, but the way they capitalized on this, I believe they could have done a much better job. But overall, we see the utilization of Great Saiyaman and Gohan in this episode. Now, we start the episode off right where we left off, with Jaco, of course, making the mistake of shooting Gohan and explaining to Gohan what's going on and why he's there, because Gohan was wondering as to why he was there. And Wadagash, one of the criminals that Jaco had captured, is now on the loose, and we see how when he infects somebody, he actually brings out the evil from their hearts and he makes them a lot stronger, as seen with Barry Khan. And the moral of this episode, I would have to say, is never to trust a woman who just comes into your life, because the girl that was with Gohan originally wanted to set Gohan up for Barry Khan in order to create a scandal to get Gohan away from the movie, to get Gohan away from production, to get Gohan away, period, from Barry Khan, because Barry Khan wanted to orchestrate this to prove a point that Barry Khan has control over everything, and in which case backfired on him, because once Videl was presented with the photographic evidence of Gohan kissing this girl, or at least the girl kissing Gohan, Videl decided to side with Gohan. Videl decided to side with her husband rather than believe the lies, because even Gohan himself was dumbfounded as to what had happened, and Videl took the side of Gohan. And that was when Gohan was confronted by Barry Khan once Barry Khan put his hands on Gohan. And again, I don't think Gohan is as pathetic as we all assumed he was, because with one simple tap he put Barry against the wall, and he vowed that if he were ever to threaten him again, things would be bad, of course. And that's what Barry Khan did after he was infected by Wadagash by stealing Pan from Gohan. And the way that happened was, I think it was pretty solid, and it which leads into next week's episode with Great Saiyaman yet again training with Goku. And one thing I do want to mention here is the fact that people are assuming that it's going to be Gohan training with Goku, when in fact it's going to be Goku training with Krillin instead of Gohan himself. And keep in mind, I mean, Great Saiyaman is training with Goku and not Gohan himself. So we get to see how Gohan is going to be featured yet again in next week's episode, but only for a brief time, as we get to see Goku sparring with Great Saiyaman, and we see how obviously enough Goku has the upper hand. There is no way that Gohan would ever come close to competing against his own father. So with that being said, Goku's going to go back to the traditional Paradise training with Krillin, going back to the traditional route of Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball concept with Master Roshi training Goku and Krillin. So that's going to be the concept of next week's episode, but this episode focused more on Gohan and having to defeat Barry Khan. In case you guys are wondering if Barry Khan is dead, Barry Kahn is alive, and so is Watagash. Watagash is yet alive. He has been captured by Jaco, placed in a containment jar, with Jaco ultimately enough holding Barry Kahn over his shoulder and asking, what do I do with this naked man? And then even after all that happened, the major movie starring Great Sandman and Mr. Satan has finally dropped with, you know, blockbuster announcements with huge lines going in and out the theater, which was amazing for Hercule and everyone else. And Barry Kahn was there. He wasn't dead, he was alive, and he was there among the press conference. So I was wondering to myself as to how Gohan's Kamehameha wave was not, you know, effective enough to completely destroy Watagash. Either he was holding back, or simply it's a little plot hole as to how powerful Gohan's Kamehameha is, because towards the very end, Watagash, the organism, is still alive in Jaco's containment jar, and so is Barry Kahn, the human being, and he was reverted back to his human form instead of being this giant Super Saiyan 4 King Kong-like creature that he was displayed as in this episode. So again, if you're looking for crazy action, it wasn't here. Gohan was definitely getting flung around. He was getting beaten down by Barry Kahn's transformable state that he was in due to Watagash infecting him. So we get to see Gohan kind of be on the run until they pulled off one of the Batman v Superman, you know, shenanigans when Gohan was punched up so high in the sky. He was literally in space. He was near the atmosphere where he saw Pan, he saw Videl, and that gave him hope. That gave him inspiration to transform into a Super Saiyan. So we saw Super Great Saiyaman come down and put an end to Watagash, but oddly enough didn't kill Watagash or Barry Kahn. I think it would have made more sense for that to happen, but then again, if Gohan were to kill them, then the main actor of the film would have been gone and the movie would have went into shambles. So I think that the episode focused more on Scandal, on Videl sticking with Gohan no matter what and believing him over other people, and ultimately having Gohan fight for Pan, because once Gohan saw that Barry took Pan away from him, that Barry Kahn bursted in their house and beat the crap out of Gohan and took their daughter away, Gohan was then given a reason to go out there and try and fight. And we saw him fight for the namesake of Pan and Videl, and we saw how hard he went. But even though Gohan wasn't on God tier, he wasn't able to compete against such a being. You know, once he went Super Saiyan, it was all over from there. All it took was one Kamehameha wave, and that was it. And it kind of makes you wonder as to why Gohan didn't become a Super Saiyan from the start. It would have saved them time, it would have saved them energy, and it would have saved them the trouble of having, like, on the onlookers just look up in the sky and wonder to themselves if this is actually a part of the movie, or if this is fake, or if this is something else. But in fact, it was real. Barry Kahn's alive, so is Watagash, and Gohan's gonna go back to training with Goku. Now, the thing about next week's episode, it's gonna focus more on Goku training with Krillin than anything else, because yes, the upcoming Universal Tournament is happening with the Omni Kings, so I'm not entirely sure if all the characters are aware of this, because if they are, they really ought to start training, because if they're not, we know that Goku definitely is looking for a sparring partner, and he even said during the preview that he's trying to see if he can fight the Universal Fighters, other fighters such as Kaba, Frost, other people that he wants to train with, but everyone seems to be busy. Everyone seems to be busy, assuming that everyone is training, preparing for this tournament, so Goku's going out there looking for a sparring partner for the time being. Now, it doesn't make any sense, because I do believe that at this very point, Goku ought to be training with Whis, because since Vegeta is with Whis now, assuming enough that he's still there, training with him, then how come Goku hasn't requested Whis to come and train him as well? Anybody with, you know, a brain in their head would want to go train with an angel such as Whis, someone who's more powerful than the God of Destruction. So having Goku train with Krillin over someone like Whis, when we see Vegeta training with Whis, I believe is a huge mistake, and it doesn't make any sense to have that happen, because I think that Goku ought to be training more with Whis than anyone else, that being Krillin and Gohan and other characters, even though they're going to be envisioning fighters such as Majin Buu, fighters such as Perfect Cell, fighters such as Frieza. It's still not the same as training with someone like Whis. But overall, guys, this episode isn't really something that you guys need to go crazy over. It was a very important message that had to be delivered in terms of trusting one another, in terms of, you know, having a spouse, having a wife or a husband, and someone to go out of their way to try to ruin that for you. It's like you have to make the ultimate decision as to who you believe between people that are presenting, you know, forged evidence to you, or of course your spouse. But needless to say, Gohan, I'm actually quite glad that he was able to do something, although the whole concept of him not being able to kill off Barry Kahn / Watagash with that Kamehameha was kind of like struck me as a little odd. But at least Gohan is training somewhat for this upcoming tournament, or at least for the time being having to be involved in something, because this Universal Tournament is going to hold the fate of our universe, and Gohan is definitely going to be responsible in carrying out that victory, because if not, you can bet your bottom dollar that Universe 7 will be destroyed, unless of course each and every single individual fighter on Team Universe 7 does something to contribute during this tournament. But needless to say, guys, let me know what you guys think, because again, it focused more on Gohan. Gohan's gonna have one one more run next week with Goku for the time being until Krillin jumps in, and even though that may be for a short time, we're still gonna get to see Goku train with Gohan, even if it's for a little bit. But post your comments down below. What are your overall thoughts on this episode? What do you guys like and hate about this particular episode? And what are your overall expectations going into the future of Dragon Ball Super? What are some things you feel like they can improve on in terms of storytelling and plotline? Comment down below, guys. Once again, thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you guys are fans, don't forget to subscribe for all latest in Dragon Ball news, information, updates, gameplay videos, reviews, and discussions. If you guys enjoyed the review, be sure to show your support by leaving a like down below, guys. It really means a lot to me. Thank you all for watching. Tune in for more, as tonight we're going to be going on ahead and posting multiple videos on Dragon Ball alongside tomorrow, where we're going to have several discussion videos and alongside breakdowns as to what happened in tonight's Dragon Ball episode, and of course Dragon Ball Super's English dub and Dragon Ball Kai later on tonight, guys. So I hope you guys tune in for that. Be sure to come back to the channel, guys, for more Dragon Ball, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below. Take it easy, guys, and God bless. Peace.